Hello everybody and welcome to Civ House. I'm Rob and today we have got the big announcements. The big ones that you guys have all been waiting for. The future of civilization is here and I am very excited to talk about it. That's right, the updates are finally here and there are things that I am finally allowed to share with you guys. And these have been things that we've been sitting on a little bit. I've been really, struggling not to be able to talk about it, NDAs, all that kind of stuff. I want to be respectful of what they're doing over there with Civ 7, but they have given us permission now to start talking about some of it. I don't think we're allowed to talk about everything that has happened in the workshop yet, but a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about today is going to be workshop stuff. And I'm just really excited to be able to bring it to you guys. We've been working pretty close with the Civ devs, conversations, everything. Like, it's been really an incredible process to be a part of it. And, just know that, like, your voices are being heard. I've been doing my best to represent you guys as well. And I know a lot of other content creators have. And I think the future of civilization is looking pretty bright. We'll talk about that in a separate video, but today we're going to go over what is being revealed, what is being announced. Before we get any deeper, as always, make sure you guys like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the great civilization content we have coming out here at Civ House. And let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. But I've got this doc open. I'm ready to read it to you guys and do what we do here at Civ House, which is just kind of talk through things as it is revealed. So let's get into it. Hi Civ fans, Ed Beach here, creative director for the Civilization franchise. And I can tell you, I'll start off real quickly. I have now gotten to meet or had the opportunity to meet Ed Beach, and he is very much aware and listening to you guys, and he's a fan just like us. So I've really enjoyed. It's been minimal interaction for me so far, but I was impressed, very much so. For more than 30 years, Civilization has challenged players to build an empire to stand the test of time, offering rich, strategic gameplay that has resonated with fans across the world. That includes many of us on the Firaxis development team, who have devoted much of our lives to working on this legendary series. 1 year ago, we embarked on a bold new journey with the launch of Civilization 7. Our vision was to push the boundaries of the franchise, introducing new mechanics that offered a fresh perspective for our players. And again, I think that their vision, in the sense that they were pushing the boundaries, new mechanics, all that stuff, they definitely accomplished that. But this has been a journey back for them, and I do mean back. I'm very much convinced that we are having some portions of this coming back in a way that I think a lot of you will be very happy about. The most rewarding part of the past year has been spending it with you, our community. Your passion, your ideas, and your feedback have shaped how we think about Civ 7 and continue to guide where we are taking this game next. As we look ahead, we're committed to building on the foundation and weaving what we've heard directly into the game's DNA, so Civ 7 keeps growing into something that feels great for deity, veterans, and new players alike. We're excited to build the future of Civilization 7 together, and now we're ready to share a bit about what's going on next. Again, they are listening. There are devs. I've worked with a lot of different companies for playtests and other things like that, and while the devs listen, generally they are not very quick to move and make changes. And I know that you guys will be like, well, it's been a year and this, that, and the other thing. The way dev cycles work and everything, a lot of the time it takes time. And I think they really wanted to make sure that everything was doing what it could be. And I know you guys are going to be down there in the comments like, Rob, you're just a Civ 7 apologist. No, I'm not. I'm just human and I understand that things take time, okay? And I want this game to be great. You guys want this game to be great. So I don't know. I'm more than happy to be critical. I have been in other videos. I have been even when, working with them. So like, just know that I do believe that they are really and truly listening. If things end up changing, I will call it out in the future. But for right now, it does feel like the feedback is being heard, and you guys will see it here. So let's continue on. Update 1.3.2 is coming soon. I was complaining about no update in January. That's because we're getting one in February, and a big one, right? Let's start with an overview of update 1.3.2 going live soon. I can't say exactly when because I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be this week. Just saying. This update brings a mix of gameplay improvements and quality of life upgrades across the board. To kick things off, we've begun rolling out nested tooltips. These can now be found throughout production menus and the tech and civic trees, making it much easier to find the information you need when building your empire. This is just a start, and we intend to incorporate more nested tooltips in future updates. I have played a little bit of it. I can tell you for certain the menus and things are already looking better, and I am very pleased about it. It was one of the biggest problems that I have had, that Connor has had, that a lot of people have had. The UI is getting better. I think there's still a lot more to come. Stuff that we have not seen yet, but like they said, this is just the start, so I really believe that it's going to get even better. On the gameplay side, our balance pass continues for a few more civilizations, including a French Empire rework, a buff to Dai Viet, a rebalance of the Mughal Empire, and a fix for the Shawnee. You'll find the specifics in the patch notes when they release. I have not seen these yet. I'm very excited though. A French Empire rework sounds fantastic. So we'll see what those look like when the patch notes come out. You guys know we're going to go through those too, so don't worry about it. We're also deploying a set of targeted system updates. First, AI diplomacy biases have been adjusted to better align AI behavior with each civilization's intended personality, meaning more consistent interactions that feel in keeping with each civ. I will say I didn't really pay much attention to that during my play testing or whatever. What I will say is that I still am a very big believer that diplomacy does not feel great in this game. It does not feel like the connections that I'm looking for. I don't think that that's the wider scope of what they are working on right now, so I don't have a problem with that. But I am going to push pretty hard for diplomacy changes of some kind. I just feel like they are needed. So it's a good step. Obviously, fixing and aligning the AI to be better with its behavior is important. Second, coastal raids have been reworked to function more like naval pillaging. So these fall more in line with the new systems we've introduced over the last couple updates. I only got a little bit of time to play, and I will say, and this was, when Tides of Power and everything were coming out, right? I did feel that. I was like, I've never been much of a naval pillager, but it did feel a little strange, so I'm glad that there are changes being made. And third, we're introducing a new appeal lens that lets you instantly see how appealing any tile is, letting you know exactly where to build to net more happiness. This new lens also supports new differentiation between charming and breathtaking levels of appeal. Breathtaking tiles are even more powerful sources of happiness. I know you guys are seeing the thing. That is, wait, right there. Yes, we will talk about that in a second. Look, I'm surprised that they didn't have this to start, but I'm glad that they're adding it back into the game. We needed appeal. It's pretty important, especially for happiness players. And because it's our anniversary, here we go. We've got a few fun surprises coming with 1.3.2. To celebrate 1 year of Civilization 7, we're welcoming back your favorite ally, the legendary demigod of Uruk, Gilgamesh, into the Civ 7 leader roster. Gilgamesh will be free for all players as a thank you from us to the community, along with a free anniversary profile badge, banner, and title. When you download the update, this content will be available in-game with no extra steps. Okay, so even better than the Tides update, right? He's just going to be in the game. And look, Gilgamesh is a loved leader, and I can say for a fact, I played a little bit with him, he feels really good. I'm excited to go into what he does a little bit more in depth and talk about that with you guys. We have, embargoes and everything like that. Whenever that one's allowed to release, I will give my thoughts on him, and we'll talk through his abilities and all that kind of stuff. But there will be more coming from Gilgamesh. Do not worry about that. And I'm really pumped because adding Gilgamesh back in the game, I think, is really important. I respect and love that all these games, including Civ, obviously, but all of them try to find new leaders and stuff like that. But sometimes it's okay to just have, like, some of the better leaders that everybody really likes. I'm still waiting for Gandhi. I'm still waiting for Alexander, different ones like that. But Gilgamesh being back, I think, is a pretty big deal, and I'm very happy about it. So, as always, keep an eye out for the patch notes, and for the full details, don't miss our developer update video that shows the changes in action. We will do that. Now, here's actually the biggest news of the day. They are officially introducing the Test of Time update. Okay, this is what has been getting worked on. This is the big one. Buckle up. At the end of the year, or at the end of last year, we announced that we were working on longer lead design plans that have major implications for Civilization 7. As a part of that announcement, we also mentioned we wanted to invite the community to playtest these features through our new Firaxis Feature Workshop initiative so we can receive and iterate on player feedback before it goes live for all players. We've been careful about sharing specifics while things were still in motion, but now, having just wrapped up the first round of community playtesting, it feels like a good moment to open things up. I'm still interested. I've not read through this whole thing. I'm interested to see what all we are allowed to talk about. There are 3 major feature evolutions in the works. We're introducing optionality to play as one Civ continuously through all ages. We're significantly reworking how victories are achieved, and we're completely replacing legacy paths with a new system called triumphs. Together, these updates are similar in scope to an expansion in terms of gameplay systems and functionality, and will fundamentally change the way Civilization 7 feels and players from start to finish. Are in place from start to finish. We plan to ship these features together in a single, massive, free update we're calling Test of Time. We are tentatively aiming for the Test of Time update to launch this spring. The timing of this update, as well as the scope and functionality of its features, are subject to change as we continue to receive and iterate on community playtest feedback. All right. I'm pretty sure allowed to talk about some of these things yet. We'll see. It looks like they've got enough of it down here, so I'll do that. But what I will say again is, like, we've worked with them on this. There are big documents that people are giving feedback for with this that I believe are being listened to. And when I say I believe, like they said, the first test is done. There will be more. I assumed that this was going to be a free update. I wasn't 100% sure how it would all work, right? But this, it's going to fundamentally change the game. There was somebody, I think, recently who had a comment saying, like, unless if they rewrite and change the whole game, like, this is pretty much changing the whole game. Legacy paths, gone. Victories are completely changed. And, being able to play as one Civ throughout the age, like, this is really bringing, I think, what a lot of the complaints have been into focus, and the changes are going to be made for that. I wasn't sure if they were going to launch in spring. I don't really remember exactly hearing for sure, but that's a big deal to me. So, in case if you're wondering, spring can be any time between, March, April, and May. Sometime in that range. If I had to personally guess, I would guess maybe April, but don't hold me to that. That is just a total guess. Like, we just finished the first playtest. I don't know exactly how many are going to happen. They may find that there's a lot of changes that they still need to make, and they may push it back to May, maybe even early June. But I was impressed with how far along it felt like things were. They have been behind the scenes and working, so this is really good. I'm also doing my best to make sure that I'm honoring this NDA and not giving too much away, but I'm just giving just a basic, hey, feels like they're pretty far ahead. We'll see what ends up happening. Here's what they have for playing as the same Civ throughout all ages. First, let's dig into the biggest change we're testing in the Firaxis feature workshop, and one of the most requested community features, the ability to play as one civilization throughout the entire game, the whole game. With Civilization 7, our goal has always been to deliver a more dynamic empire building experience where your civilization evolves and reinvents itself over time. That said, we also heard loud and clear that many players want to lead a single civilization from its early beginnings to an advanced empire. In the Test of Time update, you'll be able to start a game with any Civ from any age. There's now a new choice to make during the age transition process. Select a new Civ as you do today, or continue playing as the same civilization into the next age. AI opponents will follow the player's lead here, either remaining as a single Civ or switching to a new one in corresponding fashion. To be clear, this is not a new game mode. Continuing as the same civilization or choosing to switch will be entirely at your discretion. Whatever feels best for your strategic and storytelling needs at that moment in time. We're introducing some new concepts to Civ 7 to make playing any Civ in any age possible. Let's step through an example of how these new concepts will work. So, yeah, I mean, basically, if you're starting in Antiquity, as you are moving to Exploration Age, you're kind of going to get to choose two paths. Either you're going to get to go through the full game as one Civ, or you're going to get to go as, you know, what the original Civilization 7, game was intended to be, where you can switch your civs and everything like that. What I will say about this is I would love at some point, what would be really interesting is if you could just kind of run your game and then the civs that you're playing as can make that choice what is best for them. You know, some maybe continue on, some don't. I will be interested to see how that all works out. For right now, though, you do kind of, while it's not a new game mode, you know, when you make your first age transition, it is fundamentally going to shift the game. Do you continue as this Civ or not? Just that choice alone, personally, right? Not speaking from just playing it at all, but like just personally, I like that narrative choice, right? If you feel like your empire is strong and you can continue it on, then do it. If not, then maybe it fell. Maybe it needs changes, right? Like that feels more, I don't want to say realistic, but realistic to a certain sense, right? Like that's what we want. We want to feel like we're rewriting history, and at least I do. And this feels really good. I like the ability to make that choice. I've not been, and I will continue to say, I should say, I'm not one who was pushing for single Civ. I like the option for it. I still probably will play plenty of games where I will switch my civilizations because maybe it just feels like a natural flow, all of that kind of stuff. But for now, I know for a lot of you, the ability to go as one Civ, I think is an awesome change, and I'm really excited to see how they fully implement it. Again, that's all I can say for now. Let's continue. Let's say you begin a game as Rome in the Antiquity. Because this is the age in which Rome was at the height of its power, and is the default age in which you can play as Rome in Civ 7 today, this is Rome's apex age. The sole age where this Civ gets its full unique kit. Every Civ will have a single apex age through a full Civilization 7 campaign. Now, I'm not going to talk about some of the other stuff yet, but I want to see what else they have to say, because there are certain things with the apex ages and stuff like that were interesting to me. Upon transitioning from the Antiquity age to the Exploration age, let's say you decide to continue to play as Rome instead of selecting a different Civ to represent your empire. Civs played outside of their apex age retain a core defining part of their kit and gain a new age-appropriate civic tree. Okay, so they did talk about this. In our example, this tree includes a unique node, Roman Renaissance, that allows you to optionally unlock more age-appropriate Roman perks, as well as two nodes based on your civ's attributes. In Rome's case, that's cultural and militaristic. These attribute-based nodes are common for all civs outside of their apex age, providing perks that are relevant for the current age's mechanics. I think there's work to be done on this part. Again, I can't share specifics, but this is an interesting way to go about it. I am interested to see how it evolves. Okay. But that's not all. As a civ outside of its apex age, you can further boost your capabilities through a new system called syncretism, the ultimate tool for the strategic thinker. And it is. Syncretism allows you to create all new builds by enabling you to study a mastery on your new unique civic node and adopt the unique units or infrastructure from another civilization currently in its apex age. As Rome in the Exploration Age, for example, you may consider empowering your militaristic pursuits by adopting the Spanish tercio to enhance Rome's infantry flanking strategy, or maybe instead Norman's moat and Bailey to amass culture while providing defensive fortifications. You can choose the unique military or infrastructure from any associated civilization, but you can only do this once per age, so choose wisely. Okay, I will have thoughts on this. I'll finish this real quick. This Rome example, of course, would extend into the modern age. It's also important to note that you can start a game in antiquity with a civilization from any age, including civs that today are unique to the exploration or modern ages. The same rules apply backwards in time. I have tested that. I can confirm that. It was pretty fun. The hopeful result of these updates is that the options are in your hands. You can play Rome or any other civ for every turn, making strategic, adaptive choices through a full campaign, or you can embrace the dramatic shift of playing a new civ when it suits your strategic or empire story. We're gathering feedback on these new systems in the Firaxis feature workshop to make sure these options feel meaningful, impactful, and most critical of all, fun to play. Now, I've been a little under the weather, so once this all finished up, I've been busy as well. So busy, under the weather, all that kind of stuff. I've not necessarily had the time to give the full feedback that I would like on this one. But what I will say is twofold. First off, just based on what they're talking about, right, this does feel like you're kind of creating your own civ to a certain extent, right? You get a base one, and then you get to pick your pieces and keep that. But at the same time, it kind of feels like you're kind of still changing, right, as a civ, but keeping the name. And so that's the thing that I'm interested to see, once I get a chance to play a little bit more, once there's more things available to us. Again, I can only give base impressions on what has been shown here, but I will say that it is, that, even reading this, that's the first thought that I would have about it is it going to feel more like, we are really getting to kind of almost create your own civ, or, right, is it going to feel like it's just kind of a stripped down version of the transitions for other civs? So I need more time to be able to do that. There are still some pretty, I think, in-depth details of it that I'm not able to talk about yet, but that I'm intrigued to see how they're going to move forward with it. So just giving you guys, some thoughts here on the syncretism. I do think that this is going to be game-changing, and I'm interested to see exactly how they implement it once, they lock in the final build and everything like that for it. But it is one of the ones that they have been really, wanting us to, give feedback for and all that kind of stuff. So it is being heard. I'm interested to see, once I give my full-on feedback later on, how this is going to end up working, and I'm interested to see how it looks moving forward. All right, victory changes. Now let's dive into the big changes coming to Victories. Since launch, many players have expressed that Civ 7 doesn't quite deliver the feeling of infinite possibilities and high replayability. I completely have felt that way. To address this, we've completely reworked how victories are achieved. This new design puts victories front and center from the start, requiring you to establish clear, undeniable dominance in one of our 4 categories: military, economy, culture, or science. You can make progress towards any victory starting in the Antiquity Age, and if you're really ahead, you can now win as early as the Exploration Age, which is pretty wild when you think about it. Okay, here's a picture of it, work in progress, right? It looks similar to what we used to have in the other Civ games, right, where you would rank based on, points and all this stuff, it's in each one of these victories. Now, importantly, victory can be achieved. Sorry, I'm gonna make sure you guys can see this. Okay. Can be achieved through participating in a wide range of different activities rather than completing the static requirements of a single legacy path. The cultural victory, for example, can be achieved through a combination of constructing wonders, displaying great works, having natural wonders in your empire, earning celebrations, and more. The economic victory, on the other hand, requires having the strongest economy measured by assigned resources, gold buildings, factories, and unloaded treasure convoy cargo. For a military victory, it's all about controlling and conquering settlements. As for the scientific victory, it remains an epic space race where every major scientific milestone contributes to being the first to launch a mission into space. We're committed to making sure your win in Civ 7 is defined by successfully making interesting choices and giving you a lot of possible paths to pursue greatness. So, yeah, I mean, look, this is what we wanted, right? Legacy paths gone. I didn't necessarily want them gone. I wanted them changed, and this feels like a change. They're essentially gone. They're being reworked. They're being, changed in name, and I will say, this wasn't necessarily like the thing that I was pushing for, but I like the idea behind it, and I like that they're bringing back the points that you kind of culminate and put together. I think we're going to talk about that here in a second down below, but yeah, I mean, this is good. This is a good change. I am hopeful that this change is going to also evolve, I think, in a pretty big way. And like even some of these things like economic and cultural feel very fleshed out, whereas for military it's controlling and conquering settlements. Like there are other things that I want involved in these things. I think that it'll happen, but I get why they're pushing it down for different paths, right? Again, still not legacy paths, but essentially they are, right? And I get that, and I'm cool with that. Even in older games, obviously that was the way it was. It just didn't feel as well defined, which I actually like here. But it does feel like it's opening it up a little bit more, without a doubt, without fully changing the system, I think, from top to bottom. Legacy paths and triumphs. Finally, let's talk about legacy paths. A major piece of feedback has been that the legacy paths made Civilization 7 feel too rigid, or as many players put it, railroady. We've listened to that feedback and have completely removed legacy paths, replacing them with an entirely new system called triumphs. Now, yes, it did feel very railroady. It felt handheldy, but at the same time, it just didn't feel like there was a ton of flexibility. And I understand that there was you could do other things, while, going down your legacy paths. But I do want that feeling of being able to do multiple things. Like, I love playing a longer game with, multiple different things that my empire is good at, right? And I know that, they give you 2 that you kind of slot into, but sometimes the game evolves, and sometimes maybe I do need to go more, wonder heavy, or I just like having a balanced, strong empire instead of just being forced down one certain thing. So I think that these do fix that. Unlike legacy paths, triumphs do not dictate your strategic approach. Instead, they offer a wide range of optional, challenging objectives to help each game feel unique. Triumphs are tied to each of the 6 attributes: military, cultural, scientific, economic, diplomatic, and expansionist. You'll trigger some triumphs through normal strong play, like reaching 200 population or being the first to build a university. While to achieve others, you have to veer on a less traveled path, such as being at war with every other player or aggressively claiming most of the neutral or natural wonders. Triumphs reward you with either an instant bonus for your empire or a card that can be used at the start of the next age to strategically shape your play. Now, you guys can see some of these here. It's, Wonders of the Ancient World, build 7 wonders, something kind of similar to what we had. But then you have like Abundance, assign 24 resources. League of Legendary Friends, be allied with everyone in the homelands, right? So yeah, up to 4, I guess. I'm sure that one changes depending on how big your game is. All that kind of stuff, right? So these are things that you can kind of just naturally do. And what I like about it as well, you get something for it. So if you complete this, you get +4 culture on your wonders. So it helps you to kind of push forward in that way. Or maybe, right, when you're playing the game, maybe you are playing something, a leader that's more militaristic and all that kind of stuff. But you're able to get the Wonders of the Ancient World one, right, which then helps you with your culture anyways. So, maybe it's from conquering, a cultural civ that has many wonders. I guess it says build technically, but you get what I'm saying, right? Where you can have a little bit more flexibility and you get rewards that ultimately help, make your empire even stronger. So I think that these triumphs are really interesting. I am interested mostly to see how many of them there are going to be, how many ideas they can think of, and how they're going to balance, which ones we grab, which ones we don't. I think that this, of almost everything, fundamentally changes the game the most. Just from looking at it, just my initial impressions, I'm a fan of this. Like, just looking at this right now even and what has been shared, this feels very, very good. The Test of Time update is absolutely massive and has been informed entirely by community feedback. This has been a months-long labor of love for the team, and we can't wait for you to get your hands on this free update when it launches in the coming months and to hear what you think. Again, the timing of the Test of Time update, as well as the scope and functionality of its features, are subject to change as we continue to receive and iterate on community playtest feedback. Yeah, Test of Time is huge. It really does fundamentally change the game, and these notes, what they are showing us right now, feels to me like the tip of the iceberg. I think there's a lot more to come. I think there's even more for us, those who are fortunate enough to be in the firaxis feature workshop. There's more for us to see, right? And I think that there's a lot more that they are going to do with it. I have never been more confident that they are listening and that they are making changes. And it's not just because I'm in the firaxis feature workshop, right? It's because I just believe that these are changes. Like, I've seen you guys in the comments and I've seen you asking for, I want to be able to play as One Civ. Things feel a little too structured for me. Victories don't feel satisfying. All of those kinds of things you have said, I think they are listening. Now, how they implement it and how things change over time, we will have to see for sure. I'm not going to be like, hey, this is a home run. We know that all of this is going to work and it's going to satisfy everybody. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is instead of them doubling down and being like, hey, we are not doing One Civs. That was not the intent of this game, right? We are not changing the way that victories work. That was a structure thing that we already put in place. They easily could have dug their heels in and just done that. They are not. They are listening. They are making those changes. So I'm personally very happy about these changes so far. I know it's going to get me playing Civilization a lot more. It already has. But, we have to see the final product. And, as I've talked about in other videos, as I'm allowed to talk about things, I will let you guys know about them. There's still going to be other content coming out. Don't worry about that. But, these are just so fundamentally big in terms of their changes that it just gives me confidence that, this is, instead of an expansion, I think for this year, this is probably going to be the big thing that we get. So now I could be wrong. Maybe they still are working on an expansion on the side of something else, but getting these systems right and getting people happy, top priority. I think they're making that happen. So very happy about that. Anniversary, surprises, and thank you. Before we go, we'd like to share a sneak peek of some of the anniversary moments we have planned over the next 2 weeks. First up, don't miss out on our Discord giveaway. We'll be dropping all the details on Discord very soon, so make sure you've joined the community at, the Discord for then. You guys can find it. We also have a very cuddly surprise in the works. Our friends at Makeshift are adding a brand new mystery plushie to the lineup. Okay, didn't know that. We aren't telling you who it is just yet, but you can guess who it. But can you guess who's getting the plushie treatment? Maybe Gilgamesh. I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe it's the scout dog. I don't know. I mean, I guess they kind of already have that. I don't know. I don't know much about the plushies, but that would be my guess. Also, for iPhone and iPad players out there, yeah, we're getting the Civ 7 on the Apple Arcade on the 5th. That's great. There's another developer, Behavior Interactive, that's doing everything. The core game is there. We'll see what happens with the rest of it. Apparently looks great, but I'm not super confident in it. But hey, you know what? They're working on the main product, and that's what matters to me. And one last thing, on February 11th, we're sharing a video from our audio team. They're going to take you behind the scenes to show you how they put together the Civilization 7 soundtrack. That sounds very fun. It's a massive project, and I think you'll really enjoy seeing how it all came together. It's been a busy first year, and we couldn't have done it without you. On behalf of the entire team at Firaxis, Ed is saying thank you. Whether you've been with us for 30 years or just a few days, we're grateful for your passion, your feedback, and ongoing support. We look forward to continuing to shape the future of Civilization 7 in this legendary franchise alongside our player community for years to come. Okay, so let's get into this, or more accurately, I should say, let's just talk about the culmination of it, because we've already gotten into it. Free Gilgamesh is awesome. Update 1.3.2 is coming out. Once that does, like I said, we'll go through that. Test of Time update. That's the big one here, right? And I would love to hear what you guys think about this. Do you feel like these changes are going in the right way? I'm in a very, blessed, I don't know, fortunate, whatever wording you would like to use, position to be able to relay these things and be able to, see the different thought processes behind all of it. And so, when you guys comment, we're able to actually do something, hopefully, about it. And whether or not they listen, that is up to them, right? And I'm not going to just put the full onus on them, because they've got to make decisions too, right? It's not easy, but at the same time, if you guys give feedback, it really does feel like it's being heard. And so I feel like for this Test of Time update, it's going to be huge. I really do think, I wish I could talk more about my personal playthrough experience, but it's good stuff. It is good stuff so far. It had me really wanting to actually finish my games. I really wanted to. And not just that, but it felt new. It felt fresh. It feels good. Okay? I'm using, again, all just outside words without using specifics, but it does feel good so far. And so I think, with the Apex ages for these civs, with the syncretism, with the big victory changes, with the triumphs, all of those things I think are there. That's a lot. And that feels like an almost new game, right outside of the base things that we already know. And I fully expect for them to continue to change and update this game. And I feel very excited personally about specifically these triumphs. The satisfaction of being able to complete certain things and not necessarily having to go down a certain path, but having the ability to kind of mix and match and put things together the way that you would like to, I think feels really good. I'm excited about it, and I feel like Civ is continuing to move in a good direction. They have been, I felt like, since, relatively soon after launch. It felt like they heard, and they're like, okay, we got to start making some of these changes. They got a lot of the smaller ones out of the way. Now this is the big one, and hopefully it's going to be, you know, everything that we're all looking for, and will allow Civ 7 itself to stand the test of time. So that's the goal, and I'm really excited that, again, I get to talk about all this with you guys. So if there are other things that you want to know my opinions about, like I said, I can't give specifics, but just generalizing here on some of the things that I liked. And just know that, like, as more things drop, Gilgamesh, patch notes, all that kind of stuff, we're going to have it here at Civ House. You guys don't need to worry about that. But that's going to do it for us here. So, from our house to yours, thanks for watching, and we hope that you will join us for one more turn.